We expected better of the Liberal government, who campaigned on a promise that they would not bring any legislation to the House of Commons that was not in compliance with the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We expected compassionate political leadership. Canadians expected better. We are therefore deeply, deeply disappointed that the federal government would bring forward right-to-die legislation that is not in compliance with the Supreme Court of Canada's Carter decision. The legislation proposes limiting access to individuals at end of life where a natural death has become reasonably foreseeable. It excludes outright access to an assisted death for people who have received a catastrophic diagnosis for a degenerative disease like dementia, like Parkinson's, like Huntington's. They will not be able to make an advance request for an assisted death with those diagnoses. They will not be able to access an assisted death even while they are competent.
Death is reasonably foreseeable for all of us. I mean, we all know that at some point, decades from now, we will die. So are we all eligible for this? I don't know. So I think when you craft legislation like this, a requirement like this is both unreasonable and too vague. And so I think what's happening is we're putting people into a very, very, very narrow time frame in which they actually know when their death is coming. And if the intent of the legislation is you must know that the death would be within 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, there are many circumstances, again, where at that point in time, people may no longer be competent within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, because when suffering is so great, certainly competency does tend to decline. So we put people into a condition where you're putting such a tight box around what you have to do to meet the eligibility for this legislation that there are many people for whom this is exactly what is needed who cannot apply for it. And again, I'm going to reiterate, and I know I'm repeating myself a lot, as a medical practitioner, I don't know if I would feel safe practicing assisted dying, knowing that this reasonably foreseeable recommendation is here when I don't know what that means.